Welcome back to another video, and today I'm finally doing the Derek Carr one. And for this one, I want to truly try and keep it short because I know most of my videos are 30 plus minutes, or some go into the 40 minutes. So for this one, I really want to try and keep it short because I've kind of been looking at the videos in the past for for the average time watching. And it's around 2 minutes, so I get people look at the time and see it's way too long. So I want to really try and keep it short. I'm finally making the Derek Carr video, and for this one, I'm gonna cut all the other part aside for the breaking down the individual stats and team stats for that, and I really want to focus on the teams that he might go to. So of course, we all know he got let go a few days ago, and the biggest speculation is where he's gonna go. I kind of made a list of places that I think he'll go. No doubt, most good amount of them are ones that already are out there with teams that are already going after him. I believe it was today, he already took a visit with the Jets. I believe it was today. Yeah, today. So obviously and that's one of my top teams on here is the New York Jets. But we're gonna start with number one. So number one is a spot that I don't think really anyone's really talking about. That I really think it could be. Oh, sorry. Before that, celebrating the XFL first game of the year. I got my jersey on, Cardell Jones, when he played for DC in 2020 before everything got shut down with COVID. So I was very excited for that. I'll try and do a video talking about that, but sorry, I had to get that out of the way first. So for number one spot I have is Washington Commanders. I really don't see too much about this team, and for me, it really makes sense with this. So first off, it's in the NFC. You have way less competition in the NFC, way less elite quarterbacks on that side than is the AFC. It's gonna be much harder if Carr really wants to make the playoffs and potentially go to the Super Bowl. The AFC's out of the question, especially in the division around you. You already have Mahomes, Herbert, Russell Wilson. We'll see what Sean Payton does with them. But already there, it's difficult. You're probably gonna be last in your division. At best case scenario, you're gonna be third. It's not gonna be good enough to make the playoffs, especially with other teams in the conference. I mean, offhand, AFC East with for us, I think we're gonna take a step back, but the Bills still, Miami, the Jets. If Rodgers or Carr goes there, and that's one of my teams eventually I'll get to on this list. Patriots are gonna get a little bit better, and I want to break a little bit down more and try and make a video for the Derek Carr, or not Derek Carr, Mac Jones, because others I see from some tweets that there's a lot of speculation with that. But offhand with that, in the South, you have Jacksonville, Tennessee. I think we'll do decent. I don't know if we make the playoffs, but they'll be like just right below 500. I mean, I can see eight. I mean, best case scenario, I made 8 wins, but still be a very solid team. AFC North is really good. I believe the Steelers are going to make the playoffs. That's my kind of bold prediction. I think they are. We're going to take a step forward. Bengals are still up there. Baltimore, I know it's a very tough situation with Lamar. I just made a video about his future there, and the Browns with Deshaun Watson. So right off the bat, it's very tough to make the AFC. So why I think the NFC, it's perfect for them. I really do. It's defense is solid. Obviously, it could get a lot better. You already have Eric Bieniemy going there, so it's definitely gonna be interesting. Off of that, his creative mind. I know that's already made a huge story with that. With obviously with him having a very hard time getting a head coaching job. He's gone to 15 interviews, hasn't gotten it. He's going to the Commanders, where he's unquestioned the offensive mind on that side, whereas opposed for the Chiefs, it's all goes to Andy Reid, and rightfully so. One of the best offensive minds ever. But for the Washington Commanders, that really sets him up there, can really scheme up. Hopefully, what we believe is he can scheme up plays like his predecessors that have also got head coaching jobs under Reid. So I think right there, you've got a potential great offense coordinator. You have great pieces around you: Dotson, McLaurin, Samuel. For running backs, Robinson Jr., Gibson, tight end, very solid. Logan Thomas, decent offensive line, very good. Like I said, very good defense. Defense still needs to get a few more pieces. Big question mark is Chase Young. But overall, I think it's a very great spot. Again, less talent, less competition to go to for the playoffs in the NFC. I really do believe it makes the perfect sense there. I don't know why I don't hear more talks about the Commanders with them. I constantly keep hearing Saints, Jets, and I mean that's pretty much. I mean another one too. I thought maybe it was like Tennessee. I think I heard it a couple times. Carolina, I keep hearing, but I really do believe Washington is the number one spot for that. Number two, Jets. We just talked about that. They're really going after everybody. If they're already going, they're negative cap space as it is, -3 to be specific. But if they're going for Aaron Rodgers, who's $50 million a year, they'll go after Carr. They'll go after any franchise guy, and I really do think Carr is at least a base minimum for a franchise guy. I know his career win-loss percentage isn't that good. He's only made the playoffs twice, only played in one playoff game and lost that. But I mean, anything better than Zach Jones, anything better than, or not, Zach Wilson, sorry. Anything better than Zach Wilson, Mike White, Joe Flacco. I mean, any of those guys are going to make that team a playoff team. I mean, if he goes to the Jets and misses the playoffs, it's going to be embarrassing. That's probably will be the end of him. But no doubt, the Jets are a great spot. Got a great, amazing defense. Very solid piece on the offense. I mean, you already have the defensive rookie of the year, offensive rookie of the year. Great, good running game. We'll see with Breece Hall when he comes back, but before that, very solid with their running backs what they have right now. Offense line needs some work. Maybe one or two pieces on there, but overall, it's gonna be very interesting. My only question is Nathaniel Hackett. He's only been the offensive play caller really for Jaguars, not so much for the Packers. And of course, we saw what happened in Denver, how he did. So it's gonna be very interesting how his play calling goes with that. If he does go there, if it's gonna be the same thing with Russell Wilson, where there's a problem with the team for scoring, obviously specifically with points. I think Denver averaged 14 points a game. I think it was. It was insane. Even though the defense held on average under 20 a game, but definitely it could be. I no doubt is a spot. Any top quarterback available is going to go to the. It's going to be a question for the Jets. It's going to be a possibility for them. Number 3 is the Colts. I'm not sure with this. I kind of went back and forth on this one because they do have the 4th overall pick. They're in contention to at the very least. At the very least, move up. They do have the assets to move up to 1st overall to select Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud or whoever they deem is their guy. So that's why I'm a little bit iffy on that, no doubt. Sorry, I just got to fix the camera a little bit more straight on the angle. So most likely, I do think they're gonna just go after one of the top guys in the draft. But I still want to throw it out there. I think it is a decent spot. I have heard here and there the Colts as a potential destination. Solid defense. I know you're getting a new head coach there. Just hired offensive coordinator for the Eagles, so it'll be interesting to see that. He really helped with Jalen Hurts and that really offensive system. So no doubt that could really help the Colts. You already have Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman to be your obviously your main guys on offense. Good offensive line. I think overall the team just struggled overall with injuries and such, but definitely solid pieces for Derek Carr to go in there. You're in a weaker division. You only have the Jaguars to worry about. I do believe the Titans are going to take a step back. Again, I just said at the very most, a great scenario is 8 wins because you're in question marks at quarterback. If they bring back Tannehill, we'll see. If they're going with Malik Willis after seeing what he did in his rookie year, very few. It's very unfair for him to come in. We already knew he was a raw talent. He was very far from being a starter, but what he looked like was horrible. And if he starts, they're gonna be probably picking top 3 next year, and most likely going to go after a quarterback. So, but and then you have the Texans, who are again rebuilding, have the 1st overall pick. They are going to be competitive, I do believe, but you could, at the very least, you can take the second spot in the division and potentially fight for a playoff spot. Again, it's going to be very tough as it is, but gives you more of an option, a better chance to do that. So I do think the Colts could be a good spot for that. Who knows? But again, I just think it's unlikely with the 4th overall pick that it will be a spot. Number 4 I have is Miami. Just so on, they just needed someone healthy. They just need someone to be consistent. I know Tua had a great season when he played statistically and all that, biggest question mark is injuries, especially with concussions this year. People even question if he's going to be coming back, if he was going to be able to play football next year. And he said that doctors cleared him, and we'll see. But it doesn't mean he's not going to get hurt next year. There's probably a good chance that it's everyone's back of their mind that it is a big possibility that he's going to miss games, and we'll see if he gets a concussion again this upcoming season. Is that going to be it? Are people just going to just force him to retire and say it's too dangerous for you at this point? So I think Miami could be a spot. If they do get Derek Carr, it's going to be basically the end of Tua because there's no way you're going to bring Carr in to be a backup. So it's I definitely have that position. There are negative cap space, negative 12 or 12 million over the cap. I don't know which one's better way to phrase it. But you already have the pieces. It's a very short window. You're already giving out big contracts to Armstead, Hill, Chubb. You do have Waddle and Christian Wilkins coming up for contracts, along with a few other people. Because Gesicki, you're not sure with what's going to happen with him. He's a free agent this year, so I don't know if you're going to franchise tag him or just let him walk. Raheem Mostert, I feel like I keep saying always bring up Miami, but Raheem Mostert, free agent, I don't think I'm bringing him back. Jeff Wilson Jr. I think is still under contract, but overall with Michael Daniels as a head coach, very great offensive mind, and with those pieces, at least for now, Hill and Waddle, whoever they fill in at the needs for tight end and running back. I do think that could be a solid spot for Carr, but that kind of goes more in the question of, is Carr that type of quarterback to lead you to a Super Bowl? Can he win it? Can he be big in those? Can he play big in those huge moments, especially when the playoffs come? Can he do it? It's a little bit of a different question for that end, but I still want to throw it out there. I think any person that at least can is on the same level as Tua. If you do believe I don't know how people feel about Carr, if I do think he's better than Tua or not, I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on that. But I think you just threw a team out there that could be a possibility. Next one, talking about Indianapolis in the division, is Tennessee. I'm not sure what's going to happen with Tannehill. I'm not sure if they're going to let him walk. If you do, you have Malik Willis, who again looked horrible. He was very far from being a NFL quarterback, even as a great backup. Like, he even struggled to be a okay backup in this league. He was very raw talent. I know he has extraordinary talent, but it looks like he had a very hard time putting it together. Especially being comfortable throwing the ball. Always look, more times than not, try and find ways to run more, and not just take time in the pocket, look, find those receivers or whoever's open. I just think for right now it's more of a project, and I don't know if the Titans want to take a project. Like, you for talent wise, you stole him in the third round. I saw some mock drafts have him go in the first round, but he fell away to third, and it showed in that 2022 class that Pickett was probably the only quarterback that deserved to be first round pick. You also can argue maybe Brock Purdy. I don't know if that's just being too much, but I know some people might throw that out there. But at the very least, Pickett, I think, really showed, especially towards the end of the season, when he was, especially with the last few games coming up in the clutch in the late in the fourth quarter. I think he really showed you towards the end that he is worth that first round pick. And I really do believe him. I think he'll be a good quarterback. Now, I think he'll be elite. I don't know. Can he be a guy that can lead you to the Super Bowl and win you one? I'm not sure yet, but I think he'll be a franchise guy for them. I think he'll lead them definitely to the playoffs. Who knows? If you keep building around him, who knows? What will happen? We've seen quarterbacks recently take the big step, like in Josh Allen third year, Jalen Hurts third year, and so on. So I mean, there's a possibility he can be better, but we'll see about that. But going back quickly to Malik Willis, I think I feel bad for a lot of these guys in this quarterback class. I feel like they're not going to get the opportunity that they, if you want to say, should at least get the shot. I know for at least two, Sam Howell for the Commanders. I know I brought him up as number one, but they did say they were going to give Howell the chance to be. They told him he was going to be a starter going into the season. But regardless, I think if you are able to get Carr, I think it should be a shot. And Ritter, I'm surprised. Even for Ritter, now they said it looks like for them they're saying that they will go Ritter for next season. There's speculation why I said in my Lamar Jackson video that it seems like more and more the Falcons might be a spot for Lamar. So even with that, it's, Ritter might even get a shot. He had a few games last year, this past season. Corral got hurt in the preseason. I'm sure I'm missing someone else. I think it might be all of them. Even for Malik Willis, again, unfair for him to be put in that spotlight, but he didn't play well. So I think Carr could be a good spot for him. He kind of brings back brings back stability at that position. Pieces around you, not too much. I mean, you do have, I like Robert Woods, but the age, get up in there in age. Also, the injury problems. You did get Treylon Burks, who showed flashes of being a great receiver and being worthy of a first round pick. Derek Henry still, I do believe he's still the number one running back in the NFL, but getting up in there in age and getting a little bit nicked more and more. Offensive line they really need to rebuild that part. Defense, there's still question marks with that at certain positions. So I'm not sure that they would maybe spend the money on Carr. I know right now they are negative 23 million. It could be different, but last time I checked, it was negative 23 million for their cap. But I just wanted to know, again, another team. A lot of these are just teams that throw out there that could take the chance to get stability, just to get someone in there that is an upgrade. I do think Carr is slightly an upgrade of Tannehill. I know Tannehill definitely could, but I don't think he's the guy. I know he led him last year to the first seed, but I think they can do better. I think Carr could really do a good job there if they can really get kind of fill out those pieces in the free agency and the draft. They can kind of do a small mini rebuild with that and put Carr in that position. I think they could do decent. And then if that's the case, then I think then you can push it up to maybe like 10 wins. I have to see their I don't know what their schedule is, but I mean, just offhand, it could be, getting close to that double digits for the wins. Will they make the playoffs? I don't know, but I think it'd be, definitely an upgrade from Tannehill, or certainly from Malik Willis. The next one I have Baltimore, and this goes back to Lamar's situation. Of course, if Lamar doesn't go anywhere, if he stays and he signs a contract, then it doesn't mean anything. But if he does get traded, I think that could be a decent spot, especially if you're trying to switch the offense to more of a passing than it was for under Greg Roman for running. I do think Baltimore could be a great spot for him. Try and rebuild that offense. Again, get stability. Definitely not on the talents of Lamar, certainly for ranks. People regard Lamar as one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Carr, not so much, but definitely if you do get rid of Lamar, I think this could be a very good spot here. You have 27 million for cap, so of course you have to figure some things out, but I do believe Carr would be a good spot for this one. Great defense. I just think they just need to kind of rework the offense for the scheme, and I think Carr, if you do bring more pieces on offense and have Carr under center, I think you really can quickly turn around this team. I don't know if it would be as exciting as regards for the team for the quarterback position, but I do think it really puts this team back into a playoff contention, no doubt. The next one is the big one, New Orleans Saints. I don't see this. They are the worst team for the cap. They are negative 57 million. Or 57 million over the cap. Again, I don't know which one would be a better phrase to say, but they're the worst team in the cap. They're over 57 million. They have to get rid of a lot of people in the next couple of years. I don't see this. I keep seeing this more. I probably see this more and more than the Jets, which probably makes more sense. But for the Saints, I don't. The only reason why I can understand it, for at least for one reason, is just it's a horrible division. Buccaneers are going to rebuild. They're down there too. They're probably, I think they're second or third worst at negative 55 million. You have the Panthers, who are rebuilding with Frank Reich. We'll see what happens with that. And then you have the Falcons, who, again, we'll see if Lamar gets there, then they're going to be the favorites to win the division. But if everything stays the way it is, and maybe you add Carr to this team, I figure, I don't know how the team's going to look like with the cap's problems, but regardless, New Orleans is going to be probably the number one team just solely on the quarterback position. So I can only see that, but besides that, and it's probably just the main reason is what I just said. Just they'll be the number one team in the division just solely on the quarterback. But besides that, I don't think this makes any sense. I think if you're gonna bring another quarterback in, bring a younger quarterback and a cheaper one. I have, and my Fields one I think I put down was New Orleans Saints. You have a late first round pick if you want to take the shot at Hurts. If you do, I don't know if people think that's way too high for Fields as a first round pick, but if you want to throw a first or a second round pick, whatever, I think it'd be a very solid option. They have decent pieces there as already with Olave, Michael Thomas. We'll see with him what happens with his future. Alvin Kamara. So I think if you brought in Justin Fields in, I think that could be a very interesting spot for him and let him play in a different system, more better talent around him, and a couple of years later you're gonna have to figure out if you want to extend him or not. But I think I would take that shot more than Carr. It's a cheaper deal, and I think there's more upside talent wise than Carr. But yeah, I that's the only reason why I would guess for the Saints, just because of it's a horrible division. But besides that, I don't believe that. Last one I thread I saw one for Seattle. I don't buy this. I think they'll be hell bent on re-signing Geno Smith. I don't see this one. I'm not gonna take a lot of time for this one. I don't buy it. I've seen a couple rumors out there, speculation for that. I don't understand it. I don't understand. They'll keep Geno Smith. I don't know how he's gonna do after this. When he gets his big contract. Of course, the big thing is expectations. Don't really had expectations for him coming this year because he's a backup. What we expecting from him. He ends up taking his team to the playoffs and going to the Pro Bowl. So we'll see with this one with expectations if he kind of falls back to being the typical Geno Smith or this is who he is now as a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback. So the other one I saw was Carolina Panthers. This was on NFL.com. Again, I get it. It could be a possibility because it's a veteran quarterback for Frank Reich, but I think that they would take the shot to draft a quarterback and buy Frank Reich some time to develop him, see how they do. Cheaper deal, you get to put more pieces around him as opposed to Derek Carr, who's going to cost way more. So for that one, I don't see it. They also have the 9th overall pick too. They could be in contention to trade up. It could be. They're going to have to get certainly a lot more because being so far down, but you don't have to trade up to the first overall pick. If you can get someone in the top 3 or 4, move up a few more spots, they could do that and draft whoever else is available. But for this one, I don't think it's a good idea. I'd rather much take a chance on trying and trade up and getting one of the top guys, and again for Frank Reich buying himself some time and developing a quarterback who's a lot younger. Carr's 31 right now. Gonna cost way less more money per year as opposed to Carr, who's probably gonna ask around maybe at the very least I think like high 30 in the high $30 million range. I mean, I saw Daniel Jones. I think was speculation that he might push 37 million per year. So if he's gonna get that off of just one good year, I think Derek Carr is probably going to ask for around that range. So I'd much rather take the chance on a rookie quarterback than that. But for that, that's my list. Again, I wanted to try a quick video. It's over 23 minutes long. It's not too short, but half the time than what I usually do. But that's it. That's my list. Let me know your thoughts on the whole Derek Carr situation. If you do agree with my list, if there's a team that I didn't add on here that I didn't mention that you do think that could be a possibility. Other than that, if you enjoyed, please subscribe if you do. Thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.